Good morning and welcome to our second try to do a workshop on bioeconomy education. We had some troubles in our meeting on Monday, and we really all hope that today it will run more smoothly and we will see how it goes. So welcome to our workshop. This workshop is dedicated to shaping education for sustainable bioeconomy and is led by Iris Lewandowski and me. And I would go for the next slide, please. Thank you. And as I said already, we are part of the track 1, Science and Innovation, and are dealing with shaping the education. And it is organized mainly by Iris Lewandowski from the University of Hohenheim and European Bioeconomy University. Iris, would you like to say first some words to you and your person?
Yeah, thank you very much, Inga, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to our second workshop, or second go for the workshop. Yeah, my name is Iris Lewandowski, and I'm as well from the University as Hohenheim, as also chairing the European Bioeconomy University, and I'm looking very forward to discuss with you how we could shape our future education in the bioeconomy even better.
Thank you, Iris. And today I will take over the moderation. My name is Inga Janzig, and I'm member of the community of practice in bioeconomy education, which is quite new, and we have founded with some very eager people. I think it was 2 years ago. And I'm also member of the Bioeconomy Science Center and located in the Forschungszentrum in Jülich. But of course, not only Iris and me, we have organized this workshop, but as you can see here, a really huge group of different people and persons really strongly contributed, organized sub-workshops. And whenever you join one of the sub-workshops, you will interact with some of our colleagues here. And we send a great thank to all these people who supported and joined us in organizing this workshop. This is still the wrong agenda. I was sending a new one, but no problem, because we shifted now due to a breakdown that we had on Monday. So we had this workshop already on Monday, and that was a complete disaster, we have to say. And we were using the breakout rooms of the system, and they did not work. So what we are doing today is the agenda will be different in a way that we will start our plenary session, and you will get teaser talks for each of the sub-workshops. And afterwards, what we do is we shift to Zoom rooms. So each of the sub-workshops will have its own Zoom room. You will get the information about the Zoom rooms afterwards, also at the end of the plenary session, so that you can switch to the Zoom rooms. And we are not going to come back. That means we do not wrap up in the plenary, but what we do is that you wrap up in your sub-workshop. Here is the new one, so that you have 5 minutes for the change, and then up to 70 minutes for your sub-workshops. And how we organized it is that we will wrap up and sum up the outcomes of the different sub-workshops, and afterwards the leads of the sub-workshops will come together and really try to wrap up all the information. And if it is possible, we also would send afterwards to all the participants the outcomes of all of our different sub-workshops, so that you get on a glance also what was the outcome of the other ones, so that you should not miss any. And the main aim for our topic today is indeed that we are dealing with the circular sustainable bioeconomy, so that this aspect of being circular is a very important part coming up in the bioeconomy in the last time. And we thought about what should tertiary education programs do really to make sure that really people working in this area or are going to work in this area have the expertise they require. And so the goals of our workshops today are that we want to identify gaps gaps in bioeconomy education offered by universities, also in bioeconomy training courses, but also capacity building initiatives in the global communication about bioeconomy that should be addressed really to really address this question of education and knowledge and skills. And also we would like to discuss the pros and cons of specific discipline-focused programs, really in contrast to general bioeconomy programs. Yeah, so which are perhaps the better ones, which really impart knowledge and understanding of systems thinking. Another point would be really how to deliver lifelong learning concepts, yeah, and what kind should they be really if we want to support people in their career pathways in the circular sustainable bioeconomy. And also, are there different expectations nationally, regionally, globally, really for experts? So is there a general mode, or is it really that we have to adopt it specifically to regions or with regard to other issues? Further, it is one goal that we would like to identify strategies, really, how to integrate really CSB educational programs, and really how to link teachers and practice partners really to understand the demands for the future workforce. So meaning we cannot have a look on it separately, the primary school teacher, secondary school teacher, university teacher, and lifelong learning concepts. All of this needs to be brought together and to interact here. So interdisciplinary thinking here is also very prerequisite already on the side of the teacher at each level. And it is really important that we here raise awareness for this topic of circular sustainable bioeconomy as soon as possible. And as you see, to address all these questions, we have set up 6 different sub-workshops. Here you can see the titles, just that you know. I will not go through it, because what we have prepared for you is that for each of our sub-workshops, you will now hear a short pitch. So always one of the organizers of the different sub-workshops will give you in a short comment and in a short plenary pitch an idea about the sub-workshops. And we would like to start here with the first workshop. And the first workshop is on capacity building for the technical side of bioeconomy. And it was organized by Melanie Mikosch-Wersting and Nicolas Krink. And as far as I'm informed, Melanie is going to give you a short impulse talk about what they are going to address. So the floor is yours, Melanie. And let's see whether your talk will be loaded.
Actually, I'm not.
You didn't?
I'm just.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So then it was Judith. Okay.
Thank you. So welcome everybody. My name is Melanie Mikosch-Wersting and I'm the Managing Director of the Center for Synthetic Biology at the Technical University in Darmstadt. And the session is co-organized with the German Association for Synthetic Biology, and Nicolas Krink is also going to moderate the session. So the topic of our breakout session is education in synthetic biology. Synthetic biology is applying engineering principles to biological systems and connects, therefore, many different disciplines ranging from electrical engineering, chemistry, material science, physics, computer science, to biological sciences, and reflects, therefore, the need for real interdisciplinary education. Actually, STEM education is already established here. So we are educating students in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this is an interdisciplinary and applied approach. So in contrast to conventional biotechnology, synthetic biology is combining well-characterized and standardized components at the molecular level, and new methods such as the CRISPR-Cas scissors systems are used in this process. The possible applications cover a wide range, like intelligent biosensors for in vitro point-of-care diagnostics, the production of complex chemical compounds, the production of optimized proteins and enzymes, new biocompatible materials, and new regulatory mechanisms for more robust plants and microorganisms, and like the generation of electrical engineering and production of biofuels. The substantial advances in synthetic biology in the past years will have a significant impact on future economics, societies, and our daily lives. So it will change what we eat, wear, medicines we take, and fuels we use. The economical impact is calculated by the actual McKinsey report called the Biorevolution to be up to $4 trillion a year over the next 10 to 20 years. So during our session, we discuss and highlight different educational concepts based on the experience that the synthetic biology community already has. These are all needed for a circular, sustainable bioeconomy. Our main questions are: what technical content and skills need to be taught for the future bioeconomy? Which elements must be taught and which depth should they have? Does this need to be decided for each discipline specifically, or is there a common standard? And what skills and mindset are required beyond technical skills? Our panelists are representing various international backgrounds of education in synthetic biology, including educators as well as students. So for today, we will have Will Wright, who is IGEM Director of Entrepreneurship, Ariel Linder, who is co-founder and head of the Center for Interdisciplinary Research in Paris, Jenny Molloy, who is a Shuttleworth Fellow at the University of Cambridge, Julie Legault, who is founder and CEO of Amino Labs and author of the book From Zero to Genetic Engineering Hero, and Heribert Watzecher, who is professor for plant biotechnology at the Technical University in Darmstadt. So we are looking forward to see you in our sub-session, and I wish you all a good workshop today.
Thanks a lot, Melanie, for this very nice introduction. And I think you made people really curious about your workshop. And I really hope that we get a good distribution of all our participants today in our different sub-workshops. Thanks, Melanie. So we would come now to the second workshop of the day, which will be pitched now. And it's about, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. It's about how should interdisciplinary education and training, in contrast to multidisciplinary education, be developed to ensure that all graduates are well prepared for their career pathways. And this workshop is organized by Han van Osch and me, and the background of the community of practice. And with this, I would like to hand over for our short pitch to Han, and he's going to give you an idea about what we are talking about in our workshop.
Thank you very much, Inga. Well, as you mentioned, I think I'll get my slides now. I'll wait for a short moment because it's nice to see the slides at the same moment. Anyway, we'll do this together, Inga and me, as you said. And we're working together in the community of practice bio-based bioeconomy education, which is a group of people that are working together to make this whole bioeconomy further, to bring the bioeconomy further. Here's the first slide. Han van Osch is my name, as has been said. I'm working at the Center of Expertise Bio-Based Economy in the Netherlands, which is a combined effort of Havans University of Applied Sciences and HZ. And we're joining and we're working in this European community. As you see here, there are a few organizations that are helping us, which is also Wageningen University, and Elspeth Speld is working there, and Douw-Frits Broens is also part of this workshop. I will go on to the next one. This is interesting. I can't see what's, maybe it's going like this. Here. Okay. About me, maybe shortly, but some information about me, because I really liked to do this sub-workshop, as I have a lot of experience in disciplinary, multidisciplinary, and interdisciplinary education during my many years at the University of Applied Sciences. One of the most interesting experiences is that I created the major bio-based technology and chemistry some years ago, and we had a great challenge, because at one moment we thought about how to educate the students in the right way. It's not easy, because they had to be bio-based experts, but at the same time we had to educate them in the field of chemical technology and in the field of chemistry, which were kind of specialisms, of course, of their own. how do you do this? I mean, do you do this in a multidisciplinary way, or do you do this in an interdisciplinary way? And also, of course, there are disciplinary parts as chemistry and also chemical technology are important. So we had this challenge, and I would like to elaborate on that with you together further during our sub-workshop, because our sub-workshop is all about the difference of multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity. There's not something like the one is better than the other. The context and the goal are important. What do you want to achieve with your education is something that we will focus on. We will discuss this. And on the other hand, we will also discuss the fact that there's a perspective of the companies. What do they expect from us? Because at the end, they have to work there, of course. Do they want specialists who also have some generalistic knowledge and skills? Or do they want generalists who also have some expertise, who also have the competences more specialistic? Which is the interesting discussion. We had them lots of times. And we have some great speakers who will join us during this session. They have got knowledge and did some research in this field as well. First of them, Elsbeth Spelt. Elsbeth Spelt is from Wageningen University, and she will take us to the world of interdisciplinarity. She did research in this field for her promotion on interdisciplinary thinking in the higher education. So she has a lot of experience in this field. And she will give us some background on how you teach students, for example, in the best way, what competences are necessary, some things like that. We also have Douwe Frits Broens in our workshop, and Douwe Frits will give us some explanation about the second part, as I explained, the specialists versus the generalists, what's better, or what do companies expect from us. And that's his contribution to our workshop, sub-workshop, I must say. And then again, of course, we would like to have this discussion with you, and some items that we could talk about are the ones that are mentioned here. We would like to hear, of course, your knowledge, your experience in this field, which is, I hope, interesting, and that you have questions as well. What's the current education at the moment? What's your opinion on it? Do people really want interdisciplinarians? Interesting word. Or do the companies think, what's your expectation? Do they want specialists or generalists? Which is the job market, of course, as well, is very important. People are working there together. In which way and what background should they have for that? And are the people equipped for their job tasks? I mean, questions enough, and I think that's something that we really want to elaborate on. If you feel like this is something I want to talk about with my fellow workshop people, please feel invited to join Inga and me in sub-workshop 2 or B, and we'll see you in a moment. Thank you, Inga.
Thank you, Han, very much for this introduction, and I only can really strengthen what Hans says with respect to we are really willing to discuss with you, and we have really taken plenty of time in our workshop that we really can interact on these topics. We would now come to the third very interesting sub-workshop of the day, and the third very interesting sub-workshop of the day will be presented by Sophie Urmetzer. I hope I can get the slide. So it's always a little bit delayed, but we have to live with it. Sophie is also from the University of Hohenheim and is organizing the sub-workshop together with Iris Lewandowski. She was introduced at the beginning already.
Yeah. This should be a video from Sophie.
Maybe we can directly switch to the video, because on the video slide, there's anyhow in the first slide written what the video is about. Okay, thank you. So just go for the video now.
Hello, and welcome also from my side to our workshop on how to shape education for a sustainable circular bioeconomy. My name is Sophie Urmetzer, and I work at the University of Hohenheim as a postdoctoral researcher, and as well in the coordination and further development of the bioeconomy activities across the university and across the European Bioeconomy University. I have the pleasure to introduce to you Parallel Session C, in which we will explore skills and knowledge requirements for system changes towards a sustainable bioeconomy.
It has been designed by Professor Iris Lewandowski and Jan Last of the Department Bio-Based Resources in the Bioeconomy at the University of Hohenheim and by myself. We base the content of this session on relatively recent research within our group.
You did good, thank you.
So you might ask yourself, why are we talking about system change? Well, the Global Bioeconomy Summit in 2015 identified the key role of bioeconomy as a transformative strategy for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. There is ample evidence that global sustainability challenges addressed by the SDGs must be considered systemic outcomes of unsustainable patterns of production and consumption. This fact makes sustainability challenges wicked, which means that they have multiple causes, no optimal solutions, and they are so deeply rooted in our habits and daily lifestyles that they are extremely hard to be tackled. In the same vein, the International Advisory Council of the Global Bioeconomy Summit 2 years ago describes the bioeconomy as a dynamic and complex societal transformation process. So in order to establish a sustainable bioeconomy, we will need someone to address the contemporary problems by effecting fundamental changes in the current societal and economic systems. However, we are all part of these unhealthy systems, right? And this makes changing them a quite complicated task. For we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them, a famous quote which has been ascribed to Albert Einstein. So if we really want our future bioeconomists to contribute to solving those wicked problems, we must teach them to think differently. A powerful concept of such different thinking has been developed by educational scientists and adopted by sustainability scholars, and it's called transformative knowledge. There are essentially two dimensions to transformative knowledge. It includes an inner change by reflecting personal assumptions and challenging established paradigms. But on the other hand, transformative knowledge also entails the ability to effect a change outside by designing political strategies or to combat sustainability problems. For the education of bioeconomy protagonists, we deem it essential to consider both dimensions, the change of the personal perspective as a basis for the ability to change the surroundings. With view on designing or improving tertiary bioeconomy education, we will discuss in this parallel session C what our plea for more transformative knowledge implies. The two basic questions we want to address are, firstly, what kind of knowledge and skills will be required to effect a system's change? And secondly, how can we integrate these skills in existing or future bioeconomy curricula? We will have 3 short impulse presentations from international experts, after which we aim to collect ideas from the participants regarding the what and the how. So we will discuss, for example, what skills are necessary for systems changes. The ability maybe to make explicit the personal worldviews and those of others, or courageously challenge research paradigms, think outside the box, or think creative and like an entrepreneur. On the more practical level, we will be grateful for contributions regarding how to motivate for personal change, how to integrate transformative knowledge in existing curricula, and how to overcome institutional barriers and convince the administration And also we will talk about what kinds of formats would serve the purpose. So we would be happy to have you on board at our parallel session for the next 60 minutes. Thank you very much.
So this was the talk of Sophie, which was presented in a format of our video. And now we would come to workshop D, which is titled Interfacing Industry Requirements, Megatrends and Bioeconomy Education, Top-Down and Bottom-Up Movers and Drivers, which is mainly organized by Roland Wohlgemuth and lots of colleagues of him. And the impulse talk for this sub-workshop today will be done by Professor Luc van der Wielen. And I think he's going to introduce himself and explain a little bit about himself when he's going to start his talk. Simon, can you please mute your microphone?
Everything on? And I hear an echo.
Luke?
Yeah, the system mutes me, so
Okay. No.
I should try once more to put my camera on, but otherwise you do it without the camera. Good morning also from my perspective. The topic of the workshop is to interface education with industry needs. I think it is an exciting and relevant topic. Obviously, I can only discuss it at this point from my own experiences being at Delft and in the Netherlands and in Ireland at the University of Limerick. In the last year, we were challenged, all of us were challenged with the way that we are communicating now also with our students, which to some extent is an issue, and to another extent helped us tremendously. So we had a good possibility to rethink the way that we were interfacing with education. Maybe you can see me on the camera, I don't know. Otherwise, there is a slide with a little bit of the background. If you're an active player in the field, whether in the industry or academic, like myself, you have that interaction and visibility. And during your career, what you learn is that the technical education of the university is the good basis. It needs to continue lifelong and so on. But other matters are important. And the question is, how do you keep on adopting? How do you interface with groups that design things? How do you operationalize your knowledge? And in the programs that many of us have, Delft University is comparable to, I would say, any of the other technical and also general universities across Europe. At the different levels, there are programmatic elements in which you bring knowledge together, technical knowledge together. And in many of the cases, this is done by synthetic topics that you get from a textbook. But we moved away from that in Delft. And as an example, I give you what we do in our Master of Science programs. But the same happened, of course, at an earlier career level for the bachelor programs, and things happen at the same time for PhD and PDNs. We try to bring the technical education in the societal framework with all its issues. So as an example from the master course in Delft University, we talk about the tens of students. You know, they are our biggest capital, very desired by industry. And we agreed with our industry partners, and you see a number of them at the slide for the Delft case, but I'm pretty sure that you have your own favorite set, that particularly for those parts of design education, which are larger elements of the time, that they could participate, and that we would like to bring them closer to the topics that the industry also has. So the program that we have, the design course program, you see a lot of text, but again, the slides will be available, is to integrate It's about teams. It is about different specializations of the program. It's about structured, and it is as a team to come up with a more complete design. So the technical element is clearly there. That's the foundation. But these are the real topics that we want to integrate. In this particular example, the design is done in the sort of pressure cooker that our students can expect in their industry career after university education. So 3 months, the target is design, and of course we put in coaches, we put in industry principles, and we have instructors to make sure that, you know, not only the technical things get there, but also the team knows how to deal with things like planning, team interaction, conflict, and so on and so forth. The topics that we look at, we basically decide jointly with industry. Sometimes there are like an industry plan design, and sometimes there are large, and the example that I've here is, for instance, like future scenarios for biomass processing, biomass imports in the port of Rotterdam to look into practices beyond what's there. And the interesting thing is that as an output, we do this in a competition format, happy to discuss how we do that sort of thing. But the interesting thing is that, of course, there's some lots generated which is not of direct use, but there are really good outcomes that have been, in this particular case, being brought forward as future port scenarios with professional engineering companies on top of that. So that gives students the possibility to really integrate. That gives us the possibility to link our students to the industry environment. What's important and big thing in the pandemic, you know, it all takes students out of their benches at the university, and into industry environment. For many of the students, their world is like the small fermenter that you see here, and the industry practice is fairly different. Now we are now looking into, forced by the pandemic, how to digitize this sort of things, such that we don't need the exophysical movement, but still can represent a proper picture. And that is learnings that we would like to share with colleagues in the other universities, like the colleague from Wageningen and those across Europe and internationally. And now with the digital platforms, we have much better possibilities to do so. So this is an example. In the discussion, we will look into the challenges. We will look into how the industry looks at the topic. I would like to use the opportunity to thank Roland for organizing the event and allowing me to pitch for the workshop in total. And what I would like to do is also point you at the new issue of New Biotechnology, which has an oversight over bioeconomy developments, particularly in Europe. It is linked to the European Federation of Biotechnology. And I would recommend you to have a look in that. And with that, I would like to close. Thank you, Ingar.
Thank you, Luke, very much for this very nice introduction and a little glimpse on what your context is and what important issues are to be discussed. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And with this, we go to the next workshop. And the next workshop would be then usually an introduction, which would be, sorry, I'm switching here, which would be about current regional current regional and national perspectives shape education for a circular, sustainable bioeconomy. And normally this impulse talk would have been given by Ahmed Fahmy, who is representing the UNESCO. But if I see it on the list here, he was not able to join for whatever reasons until now. And with this, I would like to ask Mona Anita or Simon whether you could take over the short intro.
Yeah. So I'm sorry that Ahmed Fahmy has not been able to connect this morning. In our discussion in this subwork group, we want to explore how education for the sustainable circular bioeconomy is developing across the globe in our universities. And obviously UNESCO is important because it supports education in this way. And I have Ahmed's presentation, and I would like to just read it to you. He says, only a handful of countries operate the principles of a circular economy to reuse and recycle common materials. There are even fewer who are operating a circular bioeconomy, as this requires know-how, technical resources, and advanced scientific research, principally in the life sciences, engineering, and biotechnology. The challenge is to develop the workforce which has the capacity to develop the circular sustainable bioeconomy, a vital necessity for our planet to meet the 2030 agenda and beyond. This requires the development of graduates from our education institutions which have the skills, competencies, and knowledge to be game changers. UNESCO's main mission is to create and promote programs that can bridge the huge gaps in scientific knowledge and technological skills that exist between countries at different economic trajectories. Hence, we strongly support the aims of this workshop. We should look also into the idea of putting education, training, and research together under one roof. This is taken for granted in many rich countries, but in low and middle income countries, it is still evolving. These models have helped to support advanced research from national universities and undertake capacity building hubs, attracting scientists from neighboring countries to enhance regional cooperation. The bioeconomy, whether it's focusing on food value chains or the bio-based industries, is amenable for stronger university-industry links. The notion of co-design of curriculum or co-creation of science or biotech parks is imperative in trying to address education challenges for the bioeconomy. There is a need for diversification of the types of higher learning qualifications, diversification of the types of learning modalities, profiles of teachers or faculty, and the diversification of learners who are looking to reskill, upskill, or enroll in lifelong learning courses. First generation university learners are often not aware of the potential of the bioeconomy, and universities should not assume otherwise. UNESCO has been supporting education for sustainable development in schools since the early 1970s, and I believe that the concept of of sustainable science in higher education institutions are successful examples that bioeconomy education can emulate. He says UNESCO is here to support the endeavor to work with centers of excellence and universities to achieve this ambition. And this is what we want to discuss in our work group, how we can cooperate across the globe to support the development of education for circular, sustainable bioeconomy. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot that you took over the task, or that you were sending us the greeting words of Ahmed, and really the impulse about how important really also the regional and national perspective in the bioeconomy education are, and really brought up already that it might be really a difference between developed countries and middle and lower income countries. So let's see how the discussion in your group is going to be. Thanks a lot. And last but not least, we would now introduce the workshop F or 6, which is about strategies to implement circular sustainable bioeconomy beyond tertiary education, meaning including primary and secondary education, educate and engage the educators, because I think this is also a very important topic. If you educate people, it is very important, of course, that you also set or change the mindset of the according people who are really educating. And I'd give over the floor to Judith. She is going to introduce this sub-workshop. Judith.
Okay. Thank you very much, Inga, for the introduction. It's very nice to meet you all. So actually we were a team of 4 organizing this workshop. Here it's only my name because my task is to make you very curious about workshop 6. Like Inga said already, we will go in this workshop beyond tertiary education and include primary and secondary education. And we will discuss the potential role of educators and teachers and what they might have. We think, can I advance? Yes, I can. We think that this is very important because circular sustainable bioeconomy has not found its way into primary and secondary education yet, at least not in Europe. And teachers have an important role. And we really think that education and engagement of teachers needs to be involved, especially in this discussion, because teachers can even earlier contribute to raising awareness about bioeconomy in future generations, and they help school pupils to better understand the challenges of tomorrow's society and enhance their skills also as responsible citizens. But even more important, the knowledge about bioeconomy might influence pupils' decisions about their vocational training, about their career, but also what they're going to study, so their study choices. So teachers need to be provided with respective pedagogical resources, with teaching methods and knowledge. And now that we have established why we think it's important, we will let you know why we became active in this field. So me and my colleagues from the Center for Social Innovation in Austria, we are coordinating this Bloom project. It's a Horizon 2020 project that aims at raising awareness about bioeconomy. And one of the core tasks of this project was to set up a Bloom School Network, how it was called, which was led by our consortium partner, European SchoolNet. You will meet them also in the workshop. And by setting up this network, there were 20 teachers invited from 10 different countries. You can see the countries here in green from STEM classes. So teachers that were teaching science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And before the coronavirus hit Europe, they met 3 times face-to-face and co-created and elaborated new bioeconomy teaching resources. Also, the Wageningen Research University was involved here. And they elaborated materials, the so-called Bloom School Box. And then they tested those resources back in the classes in the schools. They improved them. They provided feedback on the implementation, and they also held teachings in their schools and in their countries for other teachers. And then the Bloom School Network reached even further. They worked out a MOOC course, so a massive open online course. And you can see in the table that where the participants came from. It was 264 participants that graduated, and it's still available. So it's not moderated any longer, but it's still available. So anyone who's interested can go there and watch 70 hours of how to teach bioeconomy. And then there were even 2 competitions implemented, one on teaching bioeconomy, where teachers were invited to create even more materials for teaching. And then there was one competition on Bloom stories of implementation. And all resources that were elaborated in the materials are for free, open, accessible online. And in this workshop F now, we invited teachers that are either from the Bloom School Network or they were winners of the competition. And they will come and share their experience and discuss gaps, barriers, needs, and entry points in taking up circular sustainable bioeconomy in their classes. The teachers we invited, they are from Belgium, from Italy, from Turkey, from Israel, and from Portugal today. Yes, and we welcome also all other workshop participants. They are invited to actively join the discussion, and together we will collect and rank important recommendations on how to better anchor circular sustainable bioeconomy in schools. So thank you for your attention. That was from my side everything for workshop 6, and we're looking forward to meeting you there. And I give the word back to Inga. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Judith, for this introduction for the workshop F. And as you can see, of course, between the different workshops, there are some overlaps, and we are in different workshops addressing some comparable questions, but always from a different perspective, and of course, always with different interaction partners. And what we would like from your side would be really an active contribution to our discussions. And you now see in the public chat that there are 4 the different breakout rooms which have been introduced in the plenary talks now, different links which are Zoom links, and please click on the according Zoom link if you want to join the different groups. We have now a 5-minute breaks, which is really thought for changing the room, getting everything really working. So don't fear that you might miss the beginning. We will start roughly at 9, and then you will have really good an hour and even longer for really discussing all the different topics in the sub-workshops. And as we are not going to come back, I very much thank you. You need to provide a meeting code.